Train fundamentals, test 7, and we're going to see how this works out. You know, we may have to spill over in tomorrow with some of this tomorrow. But I've got him out there finishing up an oil change on that Taurus because it's got to leave before lunch. If one or more cylinders reads low, squirt approximately 1 tablespoon of engine oil on top of the pistons in the low-reading cylinders and repeat the compression pressure check on these cylinders. If the compression improves considerably, the valves are sticking. True or false?
Would that have anything to do with that?
Oh, that's a good question. Why would it? It wouldn't. That's false. It's not actually, if the compression comes up, that's rings. Okay, now then, the engine replacement procedures are the same for each engine. Ain't that funny? Whoa! That's not bad. All right. Whenever a replacement engine is installed, always reuse the oil cooler from the old engine. No. If it's got an oil cooler on it, a lot of times people won't change that, but you're supposed to because it's going to have junk in it. I tell you something else you're supposed to replace if you're rebuilding an engine, and most people don't ever replace it, is push rods. If they're hollow push rods, they're supposed to be replaced because you can't get all the junk out of the push rods. But almost nobody does. I always use the old ones. Let's see if it's got push rod. Not all of them have push rod. Okay. Crank the engine in 15-second increments, allowing a 30-second cool down pause between each cranking period to ensure the lubrication system is purged of all air to the highest point of the engine and prevents lack of lubrication damage when the engine is started. Repeat this step 2 times. Actually, you're supposed to do it more than that. Now, how many of you guys have ever built the old 350 Chevrolet and you take a tool that you put on a drill and you put it down in there and you spin the oil pump with the drill on the stand? You know, you put oil in your crankcase and all that, and you put a drill down in there. You take a distributor out, you got a drill in there, it'll go into the oil pump, you know, that little slot, and spin that oil pump. Now, which way would you spin it? Clockwise on one of those. On the distributor on a Ford, it's on the front, it turns counterclockwise. And the oil pump has actually got a pencil-shaped rod that drives it off the bottom of the distributor on that one. But anyway, spinning that oil pump is a good idea because it picks up that oil and it fills all those oil galleries up, and it gets all upper pressurized to the crankshaft and all that. And but if you built it with assembly lube, then everything will be nice and wet anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, and in some cases, if I've got an oil pump and I've got it apart where I've got the innards of it showing, I like to pack it with some kind of grease because that makes it pick up a prime quicker. You know what I mean? Helps it. All right.
So what were they looking for? True?
Yeah, 4 is actually going to be false because you're supposed to do more than that. You know, basically. The indicated compression pressures are considered within specification if the lowest reading cylinder is within 65% of the highest, and that's basically going to be, it's supposed to be within 70% according to most of the charts that you see, the ones that I've seen anyway. All right, let's go to number 6. Some symptoms of a vehicle that has exhaust concerns includes what? Erratic coolant temperature readings, overheating, lost power, scuffing of the cylinder walls, all of the above. Now, whenever things gets really hot, it's going to do all kinds of stuff. And whenever your exhaust is clogged, have you guys ever seen one that exhaust was stopped up on and tried to drive it? You know, or anybody ever stuck a tater in your exhaust pipe or anything like that? I tell you what was pretty stupid. I was going to plant a bug by sticking a tater up in the exhaust pipe on one of these cars and let people work on it. And so what they do is they start it up and it would try to, you know, it was an Oldsmobile and I had it sitting in this stall facing this way. And that tailpipe more or less comes out there straight. And he kept fooling with it and revving it up, you know, trying to get it to stay alive. You know, he didn't crank it up and let it go dead a couple of times and then go troubleshoot like I expect. He kept fooling with it, and it blew that potato out there, and it was like a potato cannon. It went all the way across the way out there and hit that building on the other side. Somebody been standing there, probably broke earlier. I didn't think it was going to do something like that. Okay, but I didn't do that no more, by the way. I just did that one time. But to ensure the system is fully bled, A, start the engine and turn the fan on high with the temperature selector at a maximum heat position. That's a good idea, isn't it? Because if the heater was working before and it won't work after you got through doing cooling system service, then there's still air in there. One of the first ways you can tell that you're low on coolant is your heater quits working. because see the heater core got a bunch of air bubbles in it and stuff. When the engine's idling, ensure hot air is blowing from the heat ducts. Okay. Engine coolant temperature gauge should read in the normal range. The upper radiator hose should feel hot to the touch. All of the above. Is that right? That's going to be E in it. And the other one's E too. During a cylinder leak down test, leakage in excess of how much is percentage? I mean, how much of a percentage is excessive? More than 20% is excessive. You don't need to have that much. And finally, we got question number 9, which is the last question on this little test here. Before performing a compression test, you should A, make sure the oil in the crankcase is of the correct viscosity and correct level. B, make sure the vehicle is at normal operating temperature. C, remove the spark plugs. D, open the throttle. All of the above. You're supposed to open the throttle all the way up. Most guys won't do that. You're supposed to pull all the plugs out. A lot of people, including I've done this too, if you're suspecting a problem on one cylinder, we'll just pull that one plug and check the compression. But if you're going to get an accurate compression test, you're supposed to check them all so you can compare them to one another. That's basically what that's about. And that is a very short test, and I was trying to get past that. And there's actually a pretty good sized handout that goes with it, but we're going to stop right there on that one and move on to our next.